What's up, guys? Today I'm just gonna do some upper body. I'm gonna jump a little bit before. I was scheduled to do some front squats, but I back squatted 515 for a set of 5 on Monday, and my legs are still pretty sore from that. And I'm playing basketball tonight, so I want to be able to jump high and put some dunks down. So I don't want to hit my legs very hard today. So I'm gonna jump, do some lateral jumps, probably for about 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer if I get in a good rhythm. And then I got some bench press and some overhead press, and that's all I'm going to do. My overhead press is going to be a giant set of 20 total reps. The bench press is going to be 4 sets of 4, so I'll go pretty heavy on that. But that's the plan for the day. So I'll get set up here with my hurdles, my crash pad hurdles. And the reason I'm jumping in the garage today is because it rained again last night, which I feel like every time I do some sort of YouTube video of a training session, I feel like half the time it rains and I'm limited to staying in the garage. So that's really unfortunate. Maybe I need to change up the timing or the days that I'm going to do this. But I know I've been slow on YouTube. That's because I'm still trying to get caught up with my new position as a teacher at UND. YouTube stuff's going to pick back up. I am going to get onto that podcast kind of thing. I guess it's not really a podcast. I'm just going to put interviews up with various people on YouTube. You know who someone I really want to interview is, I don't know his first name, but his last name is Padula. So if you look on Instagram, his name is Padula Performance. He has a lot of really good takes on things. He's based, so he's someone I want to reach out to and get on. But Sean Waxman's a guy I've reached out to. Alan Thrall, other people too. So I'm going to get on that as soon as I can. And yeah, that's the plan. I really don't have much of a plan with my lateral jumps. I'll do some single leg, do some 2 legs. I might go on the driveway and go up my driveway for some. I do like mixing up whether I'm going to go for distance or for height on these. Combining that's kind of tough too. It's fun to do. Let's raise the height on this thing. All right, I think I'm ready to go without the mini bunny hop between reps. Oh yeah. Next one here, we'll go for height, for distance, for height. Cycle through it a few times. I should move this barbell. Don't want to roll an ankle. All right, I'm going to try the same thing, but single leg here. Shorten this down a little bit. That's tough. Maybe I can just do 1 cycle at a time. All right, I'll try it again. Yeah, trying to go back and forth on that's gonna be fucking hard. I think with this height, I can go back and forth more than once. Yep, that shit is hard, that shit is tiring. On that note of things being hard and tiring, one thing I've thought about a ton recently, because I see a bunch of content all over social media about this, is that you all heard the sentiment of like, any idiot can make somebody tired, any idiot can make something hard, any idiot can train an athlete so hard that they're gonna puke. And basically the thesis of that statement or that sentiment is that it doesn't take a knowledgeable coach to train an athlete if the entire goal is just to make them hard, or to make the training sessions hard, make them tired, run them into the ground. I used to think that's kind of like a clever gotcha type sentiment, but now the more that I think about it, is like a lot of the people that would say that thing, that any idiot can make somebody tired, or any idiot can make somebody puke, any idiot can run somebody into the ground, you flip that around, the same could be said, like I could say, yeah, any idiot can just like keep someone healthy, any idiot can just keep someone fresh, any idiot can just not train someone and get them injured in the weight room. So like, I think a lot of the people that say that that quote or whatever of any idiot can make someone tired. And to the people that are so afraid to push athletes beyond their capabilities to the edge of their capabilities to really drive like real adaptation and squeeze out as much adaptation as you can. These people, they all have that, they all have the mindset of like, well, no, we're not going to train that hard. We just want to keep athletes fresh. We just want to not get our athletes hurt in the weight room. And it's like, you're doing much more of a disservice to the athlete with that type of mentality than the coach that's like running their athletes into the ground, actually pushing them beyond to the edge of their capabilities. I don't know. It's just something I've thought about, that while it is true that anybody can just make an athlete tired, or any idiot can just make somebody puke, it's also true that any idiot can just like not get an athlete hurt. And the only type of athlete that I think should probably even come close to having that mindset is a professional athlete. College athletes don't need to have that mindset. Definitely general pop type of people don't need to have that mindset. Most people, the vast majority of people, are severely undertrained, and they need to be pushed to the edge of their abilities. I don't know. It's just something I've thought about recently. One name that comes to mind regarding the any idiot can make someone tired statement is Mike Boyle. I know for a fact he said that before. I don't even have anything against Mike Boyle. He probably does a really good job with most of his athletes. But I feel like I could look at a Mike Boyle training session and I'd sit there and I'd question, like, what are they really getting out of this? Because I know he said any idiot can make an athlete tired. I know for a fact that he's at some point, I know in a podcast for sure, I've heard him say that like his job is just to not get athletes injured. And I could look at his training sessions and I could just be like, dude, any idiot could do what you're doing with your athletes. Any idiot can just go that low intensity, that low volume, that low density, and just keep athletes fresh and not get them hurt. But that doesn't really do anything for anybody in the long run, really. It just makes them feel good, which I guess if you're in season, there's value to that. But long term, that's really not a good strategy. Really good podcast that I just listened to. They kind of talked about this, was the Coach 'em Up podcast. So Tim Riley and Zach Zillner with Mike Israetel. Awesome episode. I recommend everyone go listen to it. But like Mike Israetel, they kind of talk about like Joel Seedman and how Joel Seedman has found a way to appear knowledgeable and creative and appear qualified through all of his kind of wacky methods, because he has like some scientific justification that can sound good on the surface for some of what he does. And like the way they described it is, Mike Israetel described it that it's hard in a different way compared to just like lifting heavy weights. And there's kind of this effect of like, after going through maybe a few training sessions with Joel Seedman, an athlete's like, oh wow, my neck doesn't hurt as much, my back doesn't hurt as much. And instead of like recognizing that it's probably due to like less stress, it's kind of a deload for them and that's why they feel better, they attribute the training as the reason why they feel better. So yeah, go listen to that episode. All right, we're just gonna top this height out a little bit more. All right, this is most likely going to be my top set of 4 unless it goes really well, but I'm not anticipating it to go very well. So 330, top set of 4, and then I'll do my back off sets after. I knew it, grinder. Okay, gonna do my first back off set here at 280 for set of 4 with the pause. So I just put out this Instagram post yesterday about what I called repeated submaximal sprints. And basically I kind of stated that it's like a version of tempo runs where it's shorter in distance but higher in intensity, higher in velocity. And I said it could probably be a good substitute if someone was to do tempo runs, but they didn't have access to a full football field or to a track or something where they were confined to a smaller distance. It could be a good substitute for some other reasons too, but anyways, it kind of led me to think that another popular topic in strength and conditioning right now is aerobic work and how aerobic training is good for recovery between sessions. And it's like, there's some kind of truth to it. Really, it's having a good, strong, robust aerobic system that improves your recovery. So like, if you train hard on a Monday and then you go do some aerobic work on a Tuesday, that's not going to necessarily improve your recovery for your Wednesday training session. But if you do that hard training session Monday, aerobic training Tuesday, hard session Wednesday, and you do that sequence over the course of several weeks or several months, and your aerobic system improves, then your ability to recover between sessions and between sets of exercises improves. So I'm really not a huge believer in active recovery. Like if you're taking a rest day, I'm not a huge believer in going and doing some aerobic work to help you recover, because any stress that you apply to your body is just more stress. However, unless you're using like some sort of biomarker like creatine kinase, where research does show, I think it's creatine kinase. Someone in the comments, let me know if I'm thinking of a different enzyme, if I should be stating a different enzyme other than creatine kinase, but where if you are absolutely sedentary, your creatine kinase production drops, and that could be a biomarker of recovery, but at the same time, like, it's not the best biomarker of recovery, because what if your recovery is just, are you performing back to your baseline? Are you recovered if you feel like you're recovered, or are you recovered because your creatine kinase levels are back to baseline? So I'm not opposed to doing like aerobic work on an off day. I do that, but I don't necessarily do it in the name of like active recovery or in the name of, I do it in the name of improving my aerobic system, but I don't think that aerobic training is going to provide any acute recovery benefits. So that's one thing I see on Instagram all the time, that like, you should go do tempo runs because that's going to improve your recovery. It's like, not in the acute sense. Doing tempo runs can improve your aerobic system, and then having a stronger, more robust, more efficient aerobic system can help you improve your recovery between sessions and between bouts of exercise. So that's one thing I just kind of wanted to address because I see it all the time. But I should do my next set here. Would trap bar jumps be an acceptable warm-up for power cleans? Like you said, you can clean much more than you can jump with, are both worth doing. I think trap bar jumps would be an acceptable warm-up for power cleans. I just don't think it replaces power cleans. So one thing with the cleans, though, like any Olympic lift, there's a high technical demand for it. So like, you're going to have to start with lighter weights anyways for your warm-up sets, like with most exercises too, but especially for the Olympic lift. So like, don't expect to load up a trap bar and get all warmed up and then not feel like you have to do some lighter sets with a clean or a snatch. So, but yeah, it'd be an acceptable warm-up. Are you natty? Yes, I'm natty. Thank you for the compliments. I appreciate it. However, I need to make a video on this, is GLP-1s. I have been taking GLP-1s, and the thing about GLP-1s is that they regulate your insulin levels, so you never really get this craving sensation. Like your hunger levels go down because it regulates your insulin. And the other thing about the GLP-1s is that it help you maintain a lower caloric deficit. And you know how when you're in a caloric deficit, you kind of become lethargic and you lose energy? When you're taking the GLP-1s, that doesn't really occur. I've never really felt like I'm low on energy since I've been taking them. I've done 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off, 3 weeks on. I've been off for 2 weeks. I'm gonna do another 3 to 4 weeks, probably starting next week. So yeah. I'll make another more extensive video on GLP-1s and whether or not I'm a proponent of them for most people, or what populations I am a proponent of them on. But they're becoming really popular. The Mind Pump podcast has talked about them pretty extensively recently. I would check those out, but yeah. Are you of the mindset that heavy deadlifts should be done no more than once per week due to tax on CNS? For most people, probably not. I think most people can handle deadlifting twice a week. And if you're someone that feels like it's too much, you can always just substitute a deadlift with like an RDL or a block pull or a single leg deadlift or a single arm, single leg RDL. Like there's plenty of like similar movement patterns or hinging movement patterns that you can do if you feel like deadlifting heavy twice a week is too much. Everything is scalable, you know? Everything you do is scalable. So make that individual decision for yourself if you feel like deadlifting. I'm only deadlifting heavy once per week right now. I'm doing RDLs and stiff leg deadlifts. I'm doing other posterior chain work, but I'm currently only deadlifting heavy once per week right now. So I don't know, maybe that answers your question. Hey Will, do you bruise from weightlifting, particularly on your upper thighs? I get massive bruises from cleaning and my relatives are concerned. I don't bruise a ton. You get a little bit of I get a little bit of red marks from the brush point on my thighs, but I feel like if you're bruising, like you're actually bruising, you're probably banging the bar instead of brushing the bar. Not that it's not probably a super huge issue if you're not competing in the sport of weightlifting, but that'd be like one technical cue I would give you is think about brushing or scraping. Yeah, brushing or scraping the bar on your thighs instead of banging the bar on your thighs. But at least you know you're making contact if you're getting bruises. What do I think is a good beginner program to athletic train like you? I guess I'd have to say my own stuff. The Haas Project or Haas Olympic, they're not necessarily beginner programs, but like a beginner can do them because, like I said earlier, everything is scalable. But if you're looking for like an absolute beginner program to get stronger, I mean, I'm assuming if you're asking this, you haven't done much weightlifting at all or strength training at all. Just do starting strength, dude. Starting strength is simple. It's basic, really easy to follow. You really can't fuck it up. And Rip says don't do anything else when you're running the program. But I think if you're doing your strength training 3 days a week, you can absolutely do some aerobic work. You can actually absolutely do some sprinting, some jumping. But I would start with starting strength, dude. I probably should have gone heavier on all my back off sets, but that top set was heavy. So moving on to overhead press now. Giant set of 20. All right, last thing of the day, moved out to my wet ass patio for my overhead press. I got a giant set of 20. I think I did 205 last time for 20 reps. I don't know how heavy I'm going to go today. So I decided to do 215, giant set of 20 reps. See how long I can make this last or how quickly I can get through it. Timer on now. What's your opinion on 531 and boring but big from Jim Wendler? I'm not familiar with boring but big. I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is. I guess like I've never seen the actual program. 531 is great. We ran a modified version of 531 when I was in college, and it worked really well. So, yeah, run it. Any thoughts on training for athleticism with only light weights and body weight? I'm not a proponent of it, but if that's all you have, then you got to do your best with what you got. If you're doing bodyweight stuff, you can do a lot of plyos and sprints, a lot of jumping. I guess if you're using light weights too, just jump with it. Isometrics, I guess. What are your thoughts on a little bit of knee caving in while squatting? I think it's totally fine for most people. I don't encourage people to use knee valgus, but if they do and it's not an issue on the way up, like you see Olympic weightlifters use knee valgus all the time. I guess they don't use it. It just occurs. Like they're not intentionally letting their knees cave in. But for most people, it's not a problem. But I do use the cue of knees out, like when I'm teaching someone how to squat, and you'll see the way they squat. They like their knees go in. They look like this when they're squatting. And so for that type of person, I'm like, yeah, let's try to avoid the knee valgus. Let's try to avoid the knee valgus until we're using heavy enough weight that those adductors actually need to kick in to help drive some hip extension. So that's my answer there. That's all I got, guys. Thanks for watching.